Happy Saturday. Thanks for joining me. My name's Anna with the Paint Mixer. And today we are going to be painting lavender fields. So check it out. This painting I think is really nice and summery. And it covers a couple things like perspective, overlapping, and creating distance with color. So this will be a great one for today. If you haven't been part of these classes, now is a good time to kind of prep your area while we're just setting up. So if you got one of our Creativity to Go kits, you should have some butcher paper, and inside your palette, this little kind of cardboard insert is a palette. So make sure you're covering your spaces, protecting your outfit with an apron or an old t-shirt or something, and rolling up long sleeves. So I'll be working with acrylic paint today. So acrylic paint is water-based. Water is your friend whenever you're cleaning out your brushes or trying to spread paint. But acrylic paint, when it dries, becomes permanent. So keep that in mind as far as your surfaces, carpet, all of that. Just protect it. Also today, you are welcome to join the live chat, ask questions as they come up. And if you are new to YouTube, you have to be logged in order to join the chat. So now's a good time to log into your own YouTube account so you can join the conversation. Also, this video will be up indefinitely after the class today. So you are welcome to press pause and kind of rewind if you miss something. So take your time and go ahead and grab a water cup because you're definitely going to need to keep your brushes in there to keep them moist. I'll be using two brushes today, a large and a small, which I will refer to as the mama and the baby. So yours may look slightly different, but just as long as you have a big and a little, you'll be great. Also, go ahead and put your colors onto your palette. I've already prepped mine here. So I have ultramarine, a big glob of white, that was an accident, some hooker green, lemon yellow, crimson red, burnt sienna, and burnt umber. But if you have different colors than the ones I have, go ahead and do your primaries. So red, blue, yellow, black, and white, and you can always go from there. Okay, everything's prepped, paint brushes, paint, everything's ready to go. Let's get started. So I will be painting on a pretty large canvas, just so you guys can see, but you may have a different size, and that's okay. So first step is going to be creating our sky. So in the example, you can see it's a gradient. It starts dark and gets lighter towards the horizon line. So how we do that is with our mama brush. And I am going to pick up some ultramarine and some white. Now, you can use some phthalo blue if you like, but basically, the closer you get to the halfway point, add more and more white. So I may just do a line here to know where to stop. So starting out with pure blue at the top, nice and dark and rich. And while this paint is still wet, gradually adding more and more white as you come down to the halfway point. So for this first step, I think it's important to keep your brush a little wet, especially since your canvas is kind of porous. It's summertime, the air is a little drier, so your paint's going to dry really fast. So water helps your paint blend smoother, longer. And you know what? If you want your sky to be a little moody, you can always add a little bit of gray into your sky too. It doesn't always have to be blue skies, right? Well, just going side to side on my canvas. I think I'm going to add some more white here in the middle. Going to get a nice bright section at the bottom. Also, as you are going along, don't forget your side edges. So as you're painting, you can continue your blue onto your top and side edges. Makes it look nice and finished when you're done. And you don't need a frame, which is huge. So I'm just coming back in with some more darker blue here in the top. just to up the contrast, up the difference between my halfway point, my light blue, and the dark blue at the very top. Nice. And you know, brush strokes are our friend. So if you want to add some texture, you can always kind of play with how you use your brush. Doesn't all have to be smooth, right? All right. So take your time in doing your sky. I'm not going to worry about clouds yet because I really like how bold these clouds are. See how they really stand out from the background? So I'm going to let my sky dry a little bit before hitting it with the clouds. And remember, whenever you're using the color black, forgot it on my palette. Did I? Yeah, I did. So don't forget black on your palette like I did. So if I want to make my sky a little moodier up top, a little darker, I'm going to go real easy and do the teensiest bit of black in with my blue so that I don't overpower my blue. Black is really good at taking over every other color on your palette, so just a little bit at a time goes a long way. But this helps kind of increase that contrast too. Just add a little bit of black in with your blue at the top. All right, keep working on your sky if you're still working. But I'm just going to do a quick lesson about perspective. So I'm going to set mine down to dry, and we're just going to look at this example painting right here. So check it out. Perspective means you can tell distance from the shape and size of things. So if I look at these rows of lavender, they're widest at the bottom, and they get narrower towards this point. So that point where they all seem to radiate out from is called the vanishing point. So vanishing point is where everything meets together. So while my sky is drying, I'm just going to sketch lightly some lines to create that vanishing point and perspective. So I'm swapping to my baby brush now, and I'm going to mix up some yellow and white. And you're like, what? I didn't see yellow and white on there. Well, this is a really easy color to go over top of. So instead of, doing my lines in black, doing it a really pale color will be super easy to cover up. All right, so I'm going to put a little dot right there. And I'm actually going to do mine in a little darker of a color so you can see. But you keep yours light. Yours is light yellow. Mine is darker so you can see. All right, so that's my vanishing point. So imagine this is like a sun. And I'm going to create rays of the sun radiating outward from this point. So I'll just start doing one line at a time, being really confident in my brush strokes. And everything's coming from this one point. And I'll do some down here. And again, this is a sketch, so if something doesn't go to plan, that's okay. And there's no right or wrong number of rows here. But you see how all of a sudden, do these a couple little darker so you can see. All of a sudden, I have some distance created just by the angle of my lines coming out from my vanishing point. Darken these ones a little more. So if you're not sure if you've done this right, you can always step back from your painting and ask yourself, do my lines all go to one point? And do they get wider as they come down? And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to let that dry, let my sky dry. And if you ever want to speed up the drying process, because sitting and watching paint dry isn't that fun, you can always give your canvas a shake. So just by shaking your canvas like so, it really speeds up the drying process. and it's fun. Get some cardio, add some squats in there if you want. Also, if you're curious about perspective, if you just Google vanishing point perspective, you will get a lot of resources I think will be helpful, but I kept it about as simple as you can go, all to one point, straight lines. So don't have to worry about angles or anything like that. So we've talked about vanishing point, and now we're going to talk a little bit about how color can affect the appearance of distance. So set that aside there. So check it out. Now, looking at our mountains, we have an oopsie drip. I don't know where that came from. But by looking at our mountains, you can tell which one is further away because the color is more muted. It's more milky. It's kind of more dull, right? So by using more of a gray tone, it appears that this mountain's further away than these guys, which are, a brighter, more vivid color. So, checking to see how dry my canvas is. Still a little wet in the sky, so I'm going to give a couple more shakes. All right, so up next, we are going to be sketching our mountains and then filling them in. So I'm going to start with a mountain that's the furthest away with my mama brush. And if you ever want to use a smaller brush, if you feel more confident with a little brush, you can do that. So I'm going to mix up a light blue, white, and ultramarine blue with some black. So it is a grayish kind of denim color. So this should be a different color than your sky. So a way you can test this is, almost done mixing down here. A way you can test this is just by coming onto your canvas. So I'm just doing one mountain in the middle. And I think I'm going to add some more white here. Looks a little dark. All right, so there, it's kind of a grayish blue color. I'm just going to fill this guy in, going all the way to the horizon line. And remember, this one is far away. I'm doing the one in the background first. Don't worry about your other ones yet. And mountains have different ridges and kind of mini peaks on the same mountain. So you can add a little bit of visual interest just with some highlights there. So a little bit more white on the brush, following the shape of your mountain, all of a sudden creates this like 3D, really awesome peak. All right, so mountain one, good to go. Not overthinking it, it's far away. You're not gonna be able to see, too much detail for something that's really far away. So now I'm going to mix up those same three colors, but this time more blue and more black. So this will be a darker color than our current mountain. And I'm just going to kind of overlap on one side. So this color should be a different color than your first mountain, right? Because these are closer to us. And don't forget, water is your friend if your paint is feeling kind of gloopy or not blending very nicely. Add a little water and it should flow. All right, one peak down, one peak to go. Make sure you overlap the mountain that's in the background because that creates distance. Things that are in front kind of block what's behind. So that's what we're doing with these peaks. More blue, more black to make it deeper and darker than our background mountain. And mountains are all different. Some are lumpy, some are sharp, but rarely are they all the same. So maybe take a step back from your painting and ask yourself, are my mountains all exactly the same? I'm looking and these two are pretty similar, so I'm going to add one more little peak here just to make it stand out a little more random. Nature is random, so try to harness that. Awesome. All right, so now we have some depth, some things that are far away, some things that are closer up. And I'm gonna let my peaks dry for a little bit, and I'm gonna come back to our field. So right now we have some nice rows, and think about alternating between lavender and brown. So you see how kind of like the American flag, it just goes one to the other, one to the other? Makes it really easy for us. But I find that it's even easier if you do all one color first and then all the next color. So I'm going to do my brown first. So on your palette, you should have some burnt sienna and burnt umber. Burnt umber is like this dark chocolate color, and burnt sienna is like this more terracotta color. So I'm gonna kind of mix them together. And on each line I made, I'm just going to make some kind of swoopy strokes. And you might say, why swoopy strokes? Well, I imagine that in between the rows of lavender, it's kind of dug out for irrigation. I worked a little bit on a farm, so I think that's right. But check this out. So it starts wide by the bottom of the canvas, and as I go towards the vanishing point, it's gonna get skinnier until where it just becomes a line. And don't worry about this being perfect, because it won't be, and neither will mine, and that's okay. Yours is gonna look different, and that's what's fun about this. So on each line that I've already made, I'm just going over with little brown strokes. And they get thinner as they go towards the vanishing point. And our yellow line was just a sketch. So like I'm noticing that this one may be a little too close. So I can correct it, right? There was just a sketch. I don't have to go exactly where it is. I might go a little higher than it. And then just go back to my line. And you know what? We're going back with our lavender after the brown. So anything you're not stoked about, you can just kind of put some lavender flowers over it. All right, slow and steady, covering each line. You can add some white in there too. Makes it look a little creamier, some creamy dirt. A little dusty maybe. I got a lavender plant recently, and it's not doing too well. They're supposed to be, I mean, it's like a pretty full-grown plant, and it's pretty resilient, but for some reason it is droopy. So hopefully, as the summer continues on, it doesn't die, but it smells so good. One line at a time. Also, if you have any questions, comments, just want to say something, you can always type in the chat. Would love to hear how you guys are doing. Now, don't forget, your brush strokes get smaller as they go towards the vanishing point. So maybe step back and say, does it look thinner further away? If not, we can always go over it with lavender. I imagine this painting is somewhere in France. I have a little kind of coffee table book of all of these European landscapes, and one of them is a lavender field in France, and it looks very idyllic, very much like this painting. All right. Whew. When you get to this point, definitely take a step back. Check it out from a distance and ask yourself a couple questions. 1, does it look evenly spaced? Do my lines get thinner as they go toward the vanishing point? And if the answers are yes, then you're good. We're gonna let that dry and add some clouds. Now our sky is definitely dry, so it's a great opportunity to make some clouds. Mama brush is best for this. And definitely make sure she is clean and free of any of the dirt color we were just doing. And I'm gonna start with some white. Nice, puffy white clouds. So clouds are all different. There are tons of different shapes. There's no wrong shape for a cloud. If you don't believe me, just look outside. But I think a pretty recognizable cloud is going to have some kind of lumps and a flat bottom. And try your best to make each one a little different. Some lumpy dumps on the top, and a little flat bottom, and maybe a third one. Some little lumps, and kind of sweep it out. Great. So up next, someone just walked in. Hi.
Am I interrupting?
I'm doing a live class right now, so.
These are my kiddos.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead and grab them. Thank you. All right, so we have the white clouds on the top, and clouds are also 3D shapes. So the bottom is going to have a little bit of shadow. So we have the lightest puffiness on the top, pure white. And then on the bottom, we're going to add some shadow. So go ahead and mix up a purpley gray. So we haven't done purple yet, but we're doing a lot of purple from here on out. So it's going to be white, black, a little bit of red, and some blue. Because red and blue make purple. And then the white and the black make it a little dull, a little gray. I'm just going to come into the bottom and add some shadow. See how that makes the clouds look real 3D? So definitely do this while your white is still wet. Otherwise, these colors are not going to blend very well. Awesome. I wish I could see yours. All right, so we got clouds, mountains. Now is time for some trees in the distance. So I'll show you on the example. So way out here where our mountains meet our field, we just have a line of green trees. And this is great because if you have any funny business between your mountains and the grounds, this is a good time to cover it up. So the important thing here is to add a little bit of white to your green. So I'm going to use my mama brush, but you're welcome to use your baby brush, especially if you're using a smaller canvas. So white paint, a little bit of white. I'm using hooker green. So there's white and hooker green, and then a little yellow on the brush too. It's like a real nice leaf green. And just coming along the horizon line with little dabs. Now check this out. By not fully blending your greens and yellows and whites, you get some really fun kind of like multi-tone bushes. So a fun technique for that is to dip your brush in green, dip it in white, and dip it in yellow. So it's not even mixed. And then when you take it to the canvas, it will naturally mix as you dab. Now that's a nice technique. And just taking it all the way across, little bushes. If you cannot see your green on top of your dark mountains, probably need some more white. Awesome. Nice bush action going on. Lots of different colors of green on there when you zoom in. Right now our field is full of white space. So to cover all of these little white zones, we are going to do some lavender dabbing. So in that same technique of our trees, we'll be doing it with purple and white. So I think now is a good opportunity to mix a decent amount of purple. Like my white is all dirty and I'm almost out of blue. So now is a good opportunity to kind of reload your palette. So I'm upping my white and ultramarine, and crimson red. So I'll even do a different palette here to just have like a nice zone. This will be my lavender zone. All right, so these 3 colors, and that same technique we just did where you're kind of dabbing. So your brush is all kind of sorts of colors. So that when we take it to the canvas, all different types of purple going on with a repetitive dabbing motion. Going all over the white space. Try not to leave any white space. Get it all covered with color. And just kind of filling in the blanks here. Don't have to think too much. This is a good one to just zone out. If you're not listening to music, you should definitely turn some tunes on. Saturday after all. Have fun. I didn't mention this, but our classes are less about fine art and more about fun art. So if you're not having fun, you're missing the point. And making sure that these lines get smaller too as they go toward the vanishing point. Awesome. If you want your purple to be more reddish, add more red. If you really are digging the blue tones, do more blue. You can even do different types of flowers. Like maybe some rows are yellow. You are the artist. Whatever you decide is the right choice. Dabbing away. Also, if it gets a little challenging up here where it gets thinner, you can always swap to your little brush, your baby brush, if you're feeling a little cramped. Dabbing away. So also, just while I have you here, our Paint Mixer studios are open. Although our class schedule is limited, we are having public classes. So if you've been following along with these online classes and are like, I'm ready to go into the world, you can always check out our class schedule at thepaintmixer.com and come visit us at Park City in Salt Lake. We're doing some outdoor classes as well at different spots around town. So that's a fun way to get outside and be creative. So definitely take a look at our website and see what offerings we have coming up. But we still are doing these Saturday classes too. So if you love just chilling at home, got a couple more. At this point, it's kind of like a doodle. You're not really thinking hard. Just repeating. Lavender blossoms. And it's fun too as you're going to step back. Because up close, these flowers are kind of nonsense, right? They look kind of messy. But when you zoom out, all of a sudden it just becomes a real flower field. And that's a lot of painting. I think artists like Monet, the kind of the French Impressionists, they really mastered that technique of just getting the essence of something without being too detailed like a photograph. Almost there. Getting hot. Dabbing is hard work, especially when you hold your canvas the whole time. A good arm workout. I dare you to try it. We're getting close. I like the way in this painting the blue, kind of the purpley lavender color, is echoed in the clouds and in the field. So it's a nice kind of repetition of that ultramarine and those purple tones from the sky to the ground. Has some nice unity. And you know what? Today you can brag to your friends that you created a painting with perspective. Pretty challenging, but if you break it down, it's not that hard. And now when you're out in the world, you can turn on your artist's eyes and just look at something and say, yeah, I see the way the angles change, and I can see where the vanishing point is just from where I'm standing. So now you'll be looking like an artist does, seeing the world a little differently. All right, so the final step for every painting, no matter what it is to sign it. So take your time whenever you're feeling good, you've stepped back, you're pleased with it. You can always add a little initial in the bottom right-hand corner, gallery standard. But if you're really in the zone, take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither were these lavender fields. So enjoy yourself. Have a wonderful Saturday. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope that everyone is healthy and happy, and just keep painting, stay creative. And if you want to share your painting on Instagram, I would love to see it. I'm going to add our Instagram name at @the_paintmixer. And thank you, Sid. I am sure I would love your painting too. I would love to see it. Make sure you tag the Paint Mixer in anything you post. And keep looking at our website and YouTube channel for more to come. Thanks so much. Have a great day.